And hello, welcome YouTube. Welcome to this video series on Linux Mint and how you as a Windows user or me as a Windows user, we both can start porting over to Linux a little bit easier. Why would you want to? You can actually watch my previous video where I talk about introduction and installation links on and how you can move over to Linux Mint, which is based on, the user-friendly version is based on Ubuntu as of 2020, and of course there's a Debian edition which I talked about in the last video, which you kind of need a little bit more Linux know-how in order to know how to use it. Okay, so yeah, that was it, and as usual, links will be provided in the description. So the description is the area just below where the video is, and you will see all sorts of links here. So if I do refer to them, please note that they are placed here for your reference. Anyhow, so in this video, last video we talked about a little bit how to install Linux, and this video we want to move on to something of perhaps of a great concern. Okay, if you like me, we have a lot of Windows Windows documents. For example, if you take a look at my Google Drive or your Google Drive or cloud storage, you'll notice that lots of them are in Word and not with LibreOffice or something that's natively Linux friendly. So how then do we start writing in Linux and using Office suites? Okay, so I'll just stick with Microsoft Word and word editing in general, and I'm going to talk about things that are important for science or engineering students, which is equation editing, and of course you need to do citations as well. So let's start with some of these things. How do we start writing in Linux? The first option for you is, of course, you can use the native LibreOffice, which is the updated version, so to speak, of OpenOffice, which uses the ODT file format. Okay, ODT file format, and it, in terms of compatibility with Word, and because we want good compatibility in general, it's pretty okay. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. However, you know that it is not perfectly compatible with Word. So, for example, I have this turbulence modeling document, which if you watch some of my other videos, I talk extensively. I have a video series on turbulence modeling, fluid dynamics. Basically, it has a lot of math and a lot of citations. So this is what the document actually looks like. Okay, you see that there's a lot of citations. Okay. I'll talk about math here. You see, there's a lot of equations, there are pictures, etc., etc. Now, when I open this up in LibreOffice, okay, if I open it with LibreOffice, okay, the performance-wise, it is reasonable-ish. You can still see this. Unfortunately, if you have a bibliography, it doesn't quite run over as well. And some of the equations, they do stay, but you can see some of the things are missing. Like this, I say here some time scale is goes as in the order of magnitude as length over velocity scale. Okay, so you can see a lot of the Greek alphabets remain, but you see that in here some of the formulas don't transfer over well. Okay, so that's usually the problem with transiting over to ODT, for example. So how do you work around that? Well, if you have your crossover with Microsoft Word enabled or Wine with Microsoft Word enabled, there's a number of options. None of them are perfect. In fact, document transition over, if you have lots of special features, it's a little bit hard to convert. But there are some things you can do. For example, you can save your document as an ODT ODT is native to what do you call that? ODT is native to LibreOffice, and it tends to capture. Okay, so actually I save the docs file as a LibreOffice file. I've done that already. You can try that out yourself. Okay, and what happens is that you have, okay, this is not the one. What happens is that you have an ODT file that you see here. For example, turbulence modeling, blah blah blah, .odt. It opens well in LibreOffice. So again, all of this text actually does well. However, let's say you have all these spacings and everything. Yeah, so if you use that route, instead of opening your document format directly using LibreOffice, you capture a little bit more of the features. But you do have some strange things like all these indentations and random boxes. I mean, all your content is there, just that the formatting is kind of weird. However, as you see here, the equations actually do pretty well. You can see most of your Greek letters do hang around, and you can see the fractions work. However, let's say you look at this here. If you have this, let's say, I'm saying here delta x plus is supposed to be around 40. I use the approximate figure in Windows, but it is not showing up in LibreOffice very well. Then of course we're gonna have a problem. Okay, so that does give using Windows in Linux, your Microsoft Windows in Linux, it does give it some value, because at least you can still work on your equations here without too much fear of incompatibility issues. The equations still do display correctly. Of course, you can't use the shortcuts as efficiently. For example, let's say I want to do tau, and I press spacebar. It does not turn into the Greek letter tau. Okay, but for the most part, all my content is found here, and that is one other thing. One other plus point of using Microsoft Office in Linux. So it is worth some bit of the money if you want to use the Microsoft Office here. It's still worth your subscription, and it's worth that crossover what do you call that? Yeah, crossover compatibility layer. Okay, though not everything displays right, and as you can see here, when I open this up, sometimes it does not display the document. Now this document is actually supposed to be 60 pages, right? 60 something pages. So if you take a look at the ODT, so if I convert it into ODT and I scroll all the way to the bottom, oh yeah, it's actually about 60 to 70 pages, as you can see here. Okay, Microsoft Word doesn't seem to be it seems to be having a bug right now, and it's not loading all the rest of my pages. So for big documents with lots of formulas and citations, it may be a bit troublesome to even use Microsoft Word with crossover, unless of course something changes, or I'm not using the latest version of Office, or crossover can update its compatibility every now and then. So this may change, but as of today, as of now, it doesn't seem to be working. So that does give us motivation to look into some other ways of input. So the third way I strongly encourage is the use of LaTeX. Now LaTeX is it's a very professional equation editor, document writer, especially if you're writing reports, scientific reports, or papers, or thesis. LaTeX is often the software of choice. Now it is available for Windows, of course, as well, and Mac, and of course for Linux, it works perfectly well here. So okay, LaTeX is kind of what do you call that? It's kind of a what do you call it? It's a programming. It's sort of a language, and you sort of have to know the syntax well. For example, if you open a LaTeX file, you will see all of these things come up, which are supposed to be in your document, and you can see that, okay, you still have your text that's working well. Okay, your text works well. However, you need to kind of know a little bit of syntax here and there. For example, if you want to insert the dots, dot, you have to use this syntax called dots. Okay, if you want to use n, you should press a backspace, a backslash. Okay, so these are the little things you need to get used to in order to start using LaTeX. It's for the most part, it is pretty, what do you call it? It's pretty okay. You can still type your text, but you do need to but you do need to know some of this, LaTeX syntax. So you do need to know how to use this syntax, and basically there are tutorials online. For example, you have this LaTeX tutorial, for example, and this one's pretty good as well. It has 2 million views by Michelle. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but it has 2 million views. So you know that these are pretty popular. These are pretty good. So these are some tutorials you can actually take a look at. Okay, I'll be putting all these video links in the description, so don't worry about it. I got it all for you. Okay, so how then? Let's say you want to start by installing LaTeX. What are the steps? Okay, so basically you don't want to have, let's say, your workflow. If you're typing a document, you don't want to be looking at just this part, right? You want to see, okay, I'm typing a LaTeX code. All right, I'm typing a LaTeX code, and I don't really want to be looking at this, because looking at this thing here is a bit of a hassle. Okay, it's a bit of a hassle. Now, if that's the case, and I would recommend you install TeXLive, because that actually gives you a preview which you can load of the PDF, because LaTeX usually you can export it as a PDF, and it looks beautiful. I mean, this one doesn't look too well formatted, because it's actually converted from a Word document using an online converter. I'll explain that later in a bit. Okay, so but by and large, it looks pretty nice over here, and this is actually what you want to see when you work, so that you can see whether your files are coming out in the correct manner. So for that, I strongly encourage you to download and install TeXLive, and also the editor called TeXMaker. So TeXLive kind of gives you all the basic stuff, the basic packages you need to install, get for LaTeX. And the other one, if you really want to have the speed of typing out a very quick LaTeX document, I encourage you to also install LibreOffice. Okay, so if you have enough space, then install LibreOffice and LaTeX. LibreOffice and TeXMaker. If not, just install TeXMaker and learn the syntax. So what is LibreOffice like? The workflow is something like this. If you want to input an equation, you can just type integral, and you press space, and then you have 0, and then you press space and go 1. Okay, if you just want to put in equations, it's very, very simple. You don't have to deal with the code as much as you don't have to deal with the code as much as, let's say, in TeXMaker, but you don't see the underlying code. So editing it is a little bit harder in that regard if you are very used to using code, or you want to edit a LaTeX file. If you want to edit, let's say, a LaTeX file with all these code, you have to go through TeXMaker. You cannot go through LibreOffice, because LibreOffice does not it's not by default capable to read complex LaTeX files. So you do use TeXMaker, but LibreOffice is a very useful tool to quickly generate all a LaTeX file without too much knowledge on the LaTeX code. So if you want comprehensive LaTeX editor, if you want a comprehensive LaTeX editor, go with TeXMaker. Otherwise, if you want something fast and you want something to generate your documents quickly, I recommend you go with LaTeX. Okay, and how do you install both of them? It's pretty simple. First, you need to install TeXLive. So TeXLive is here, and this is what you put into your command line. So I'll clear everything. Okay, everything's already installed on my computer over here, but these are the installation commands you need to use. Okay, so if you do this sudo apt install TeXLive full, it will say that yep, it's already done. If you want to have a clean install of LaTeX, all right, you need to put these words here. Okay, installing LaTeX on Ubuntu. You can take a look at some of the wiki page here. That's for LaTeX. So what you're doing with these two steps. Okay, by the way, this is LibreOffice. I'm using that to write, so you can see it's still pretty decent, even though it's not Microsoft Word. But anyway, you just have to remove LaTeX first. So this is what you do to uninstall LaTeX. And what auto remove here does is actually to get rid of all. It gets rid of all the redundant dependencies, because LaTeX actually depends on a lot of other files to run. But once you remove LaTeX, your dependencies, the files that LaTeX needs to run, are no longer useful. So if you want to remove those files, remove doesn't just get rid of them. You have to use auto remove to remove all these redundant files. So that's what auto remove does. Next thing here is to add the LaTeX database to this our own repository in Ubuntu. So this install that is for Ubuntu or Ubuntu type systems, or it may work for Debian as well. So this is what you need to do. You add these LaTeX to your repository, you update, and you install. So this is pretty straightforward. Just copy and paste this in your command line. Copy, paste, and run. So what you do is copy and you paste here, and then you just press run, and it should be able to do well. Now there's one more step you need to get to get LaTeX running. You need to install the fonts to make sure the integrals and Greek letters actually display correctly in LaTeX. So for example, if you want alpha to display correctly here, you need to install these fonts. If not, you won't get it to run properly. So do install these fonts. These are very important. So as usual, copy and paste in the command lines. For commands, do use the shortcut Control Alternate T. So if you look, if you do that, Control Alternate T, your terminal is brought up, and you will just get the command line interface, and you can copy and paste your commands there. So that's how you do it. Next, if you want to install TeXMaker, it's very simple. It's not as complicated as LaTeX. You just type sudo apt install TeXMaker. Okay, so for me it's already installed, but TeXMaker is pretty simple, just one step, and this doing all of this will get you the full suite of most of the LaTeX editors and LaTeX type editors, the family of LaTeX editors you will probably ever need. So LaTeX and TeXMaker are your go-to. Okay, so so this is some of the things that we need to do to have a good writing suite in Linux. So you have LibreOffice, you have Microsoft Word with crossover, and you have LaTeX. And actually my favorite will be LaTeX, because once you switch over to LaTeX, you can do away with LibreOffice and Microsoft Word altogether, or like mostly, not altogether. You may still need it if your company or what needs it, or your school needs it for homework, but for the most part, LaTeX does give you a very good functionality in producing very presentable documents. So yeah, all right. So this is what we do. And of course, if you want citations as well, you can use the TeXMaker and Mendeley and BibTeX in order to what do you call that? In order to do your citations. So that if you use Mendeley, you will have RIS files. So you can convert those to BibTeX. So it's a bibliography in LaTeX. That's why you see this BibTeX. So you can also download this off Google Scholar straight. So let's say I want to go to Google Scholar, and I want I want to do, let's say, heat transfer or fluid mechanics or whatever not. So you'll see that you have a BibTeX download link here. You can just cite it, and this is what you copy and you can paste into your LaTeX code. Okay, there are tutorials on this, but you can see it's actually pretty simple. Just copy and pasting code. That will do. You don't even have to download a RIS file. But if you want to incorporate Mendeley with TeXMaker or with LaTeX, there's a bit more work you need to do. But again, you can download Mendeley desktop for Ubuntu and Debian. There are some other tutorials you can actually look up for getting Mendeley to work. But by and large, you should be able to run it without an issue. And also, if you watch this video right here, it will tell you, how to use Mendeley. So what you will see here is this YouTube video called LaTeX with Mendeley. Okay, so it will tell you a little bit of an introduction of how to use Mendeley with LaTeX together. So that's a very useful tool. I suppose you can do it. I suppose you can do it with LaTeX as well, but there's a little bit more work involved as compared to doing with Microsoft Word. You need to actually export all your bibliography into as a BibTeX file, and it's insert it into LaTeX. So it's not as seamless as say Microsoft Word, but on the whole, it's a free software. Okay, LaTeX is free software, and it gives you beautiful looking documents. So it's always worth a shot. So this is Mendeley with LaTeX. Okay, so I put with LaTeX. Okay, so this one's the WordPress one, and you can look at some of these ones as well. These are basically from a Google search. You can take a look at them yourself. Okay. So this kind of concludes this part, at least, of some of the writing suites you can use in Linux, especially using LaTeX. LaTeX is a very useful one. But of course, the other question is, how do you convert all your files to LaTeX? Okay, if you really want to quit using Microsoft Word or use LaTeX, then your problem is we have lots of Microsoft Word files, and we need to convert them. How do we convert our files to LaTeX without losing the information? For example, there are there are citations, there are formulas there. How do we do it? Okay, so there is no easy answer for this. Okay, the long story short is that you have to pay lots of money to get a very good seamless transition, or you have to really work hard. So you use a free software that gets you about 80 or 90% of the way there, but the rest of the stuff and formatting and citations, you may have to do your own little bit of work. So it's a little bit difficult in that regard, but perhaps in the next video I will discuss some of these options and what you can do, and of course what is my preferred option as well. And for me, I don't want to spend too much money, and I don't want to spend too much effort as well. So if it'll be best if there's an easy solution, or I'll pick the easiest solution that is available pretty much free of charge. Okay, so that's all for now. I will stop for this video, and in the next video we can take a look at some of these converters. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again. Bye bye.